Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. The last weekend of October is a relatively lackluster one when it comes to college football. There's only 3 ranked versus ranked matchups, and of course we'll have individual videos out on each of those 3 games. But there are still a handful of games, guys, that will play a major role in conference races, will play a major role on the national college football playoff race, and that's what we're here to break down today. The 5 biggest / underrated games heading into week 9 of the season. Before we get started though, guys, again, thank you for joining us here at the Gridiron Expert. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the country, guys, over there. We hit 90% of our bets in week 8. We're hitting over 63% of our bets so far this year, over 92% on the money line last week, over 82% on the year, beating out over 80% of the national analysts and handicappers. If you want to win big time money, if you want guaranteed winnings, come to the Gridiron Expert. Sign up, the link down in the description below. And if you want more analysis, make sure to check out our live streams as well. We have our live streams coming out tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time. We plan on doing those every Tuesday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. Make sure you stay tuned for that. More analysis, and we actually get to debate with you over the phone. So, live streams here at the Gridiron Expert every Tuesday and Wednesday. So let's go ahead and jump into these predictions, guys. And some of them will go by relatively quickly, just like maybe the one up top. Florida and number 1, Georgia. Now, this is one of the best, to me, underrated rivalries in the country. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party down in Jacksonville. The question is, guys, can Florida upset the number 1 team in the country? You know, people have been saying for a while now that Georgia looks vulnerable. You know, not the best showing against Kent State, not the best showing against Missouri. And they beat Vanderbilt, but, most people could do that anyways. Could Florida potentially spring this upset over Georgia? And we're here to tell you now. No, they cannot. Georgia is going to win this game over Florida in Jacksonville. The Gators, guys, they're averaging 430 yards per game on the year. Pretty dang impressive. 217 through the air, 213 on the ground. Georgia's defense, though, is only giving up 247 yards per game total and just 83 rushing yards per game. So what this ultimately comes down to, guys, Anthony Richardson has not impressed me that much as a passer. He has more interceptions than he has touchdowns right now. Florida's a team that's going to want to rely on his dual threat capability and also the ground game. Again, they're averaging 213 rushing yards per game. Georgia's not going to allow that to happen. This defense is going to shut down Anthony Richardson, force a few turnovers off of him, and that Georgia offense, guys, that is lighting it up with Stetson Bennett, averaging 330 passing yards per game, is going to exploit a Florida defense, giving up nearly 430 yards per game. It'll be close for a little bit, guys, kind of like it was last year before Georgia ultimately pulled away at the end of the first half. The Bulldogs won that game 34-7. I think Florida scores a little bit more this year, but the Bulldogs still walk away with another victory over their SEC East rival. How about the Big Ten, guys? How about Illinois? Give credit to Illinois. Look, I'll be the first to admit, I was wrong on Illinois. So if we have any Illinois fans watching this video, you're hearing it now. I was wrong on Illinois. We missed the mark on the Fighting Illini. What a season they have had under Brett Bielema. Only 1 loss so far this year, and that one came in controversial fashion on the road at Indiana. They're 17th in the country and have a very good chance to win the Big Ten West, and that's why this game is up here, guys. Because here's the thing. The Fighting Illini are number 1 in the Big Ten West right now. But if Nebraska wins, if Nebraska beats Illinois, we will have a 3-way tie in the West. Illinois, Nebraska, and Purdue will all be 3-2 in conference play, and the door is wide open for any of those teams to win the West. And who would have thought that Nebraska might have a shot to win the West after the horrible start they had and after they fired Scott Frost? The thing is, guys, unfortunately, if you like chaos, I don't think you're going to get it. I think Illinois is going to win this game. I was back and forth on it for a while, so you Illinois fans, I'm changing my pick. I'm changing my pick from Nebraska that I had in the preseason to Illinois. You look at the numbers, guys, it just makes sense. Illinois is dominating the ground game. Chase Brown is putting up ridiculous numbers at running back, over 1,000 yards already and 4 touchdowns on the year. Yes, Nebraska has a great running back of their own in Anthony Grant, who has over 680 yards and 6 touchdowns on the year. But this game, for me, comes down to defense. Ultimately comes down to defense. And Illinois has one of, if not the best defense in the country. Fighting Illini giving up just 8.9 points per game, just 221.1 total yards per game, and they're giving up just 78 rushing yards per game and all of that. So what Illinois is going to be able to come in here and do is to bottle up the Nebraska run game, practically make Nebraska a non-factor on the ground, force Casey Thompson to win the game through the air, and I don't think that he's going to be able to do that on Saturday. Nebraska, I think, will struggle to move the ball. Nebraska's giving up over 190 rushing yards per game. That's not a good look when you're facing such a strong Illinois offense, especially offensive line. Illinois comes on the road. They're no stranger to road games. They won at Wisconsin. They almost won at Indiana. They're going to be able to come on the road and take on Nebraska and get this win. Both teams off a bye, but I like Illinois in this defense a little bit more. How about a group of 5 matchup? We don't have too many of those on our big board all that often. This one's big for a bunch of different reasons. Number 20, Cincinnati at UCF. If UCF wins this game over Cincinnati, they remain in the American Athletic Conference title race. They stay in it. They win that game, guys. Tulane, believe it or not, Tulane would be the only undefeated team in conference play if UCF beats Cincinnati. If not, Tulane and Cincinnati are both undefeated in conference play and seem to be on a crash course to meet each other in the season finale, and then a week later, possibly in the American Athletic Championship game. The question is right now, guys, can UCF bounce back and not only create chaos in the conference, but can they also potentially ruin Cincinnati's New Year's Six bowl hopes? Right now, the top 2 New Year's Six teams from a Group of 5 conference are Cincinnati and Tulane. UCF can change that with a win over the Bearcats, and I believe they're going to get it. I believe they're going to create chaos. So you might not get chaos in the Big Ten or the Big Ten West, but you might get chaos in the American. UCF upsets Cincinnati. Cincinnati hasn't looked like a world beater, guys. They have not looked that great. Yes, they've won 6 straight since their season opening loss to Arkansas, but they only beat Tulsa by 10. They only beat USF by 4. They trailed the Bulls in the fourth quarter, and they nearly lost to SMU, winning 29-27. SMU's 2-point conversion with under 2 minutes left, falling short. The Bearcats walked away with a narrow road victory in Dallas. The Knights, guys, are averaging over 500 yards per game, including over 240 on the ground. UCF lost to ECU last week bad on the road. Why? Because ECU torched them through the air. I don't think Ben Bryant's going to be able to do that against the Knights, and I don't think Gus Malzahn allows his defense to have that poor of a showing 2 weeks in a row. With the bounce house on their side, down in Orlando, this is going to be a fun one, but I like UCF to pull off the upset and give us quite a bit of an interesting conference race as we enter the month of November. Real quick, Michigan State at number 4, Michigan. This is a no-brainer. We're all over Michigan here. Why is this up here? Well, first off, anything can happen in rivalry games, right? You never know what can happen. But Michigan comes into this game, guys, having lost back-to-back games to Michigan State. They've lost the last 2 to the Spartans, including last year's 37-33 loss where the Wolverines blew, a 16-point lead and allowed Kenneth Walker to run literally all over them in that game, single-handedly leading the Spartans' comeback in that game. So the revenge factor is at play here. Obviously, Michigan still has college football playoff hopes and national title aspirations. They've got all that at play here. They want to beat their in-state rival. They're going to get it done. Michigan State gives up over 153 rushing yards per game. Michigan averages over 240. Last year, Kenneth Walker ran all over Michigan. This year, Blake Corum runs all over Michigan State. Corum over 900 yards and 13 touchdowns on the year. This game should be over at halftime. Never underestimate a rival. Anything can happen in rivalry week. Anything can happen there. But I like Michigan to take pretty good care of Michigan State and kind of put a statement victory on their hated rival after losing each of the last 2 meetings. And then finally, guys, Pittsburgh at number 21, North Carolina. Why is this game up here? Well, it's huge for the ACC Coastal Division. North Carolina, guys, quietly is 6-1, undefeated in conference play. Pittsburgh just 1-2, a very disappointing year so far for Pat Narduzzi and the reigning ACC champions. But if Pittsburgh upsets North Carolina is now 3-1 in conference play. Pittsburgh is 2-2. And the conference and the division is once again wide open. Georgia Tech somehow is in the mix. Pittsburgh would be in the mix. North Carolina is still in the mix. That's if Pittsburgh pulls off this upset. That's why this game is so big. I see a lot of points being scored here, guys. Pittsburgh has a great running back in Israel Abanikanda, over 189 rushing yards per game against a North Carolina defense giving up over 186 rushing yards per game. Should run all over the Tar Heels. But conversely, North Carolina's offense is one of the best in the country. They're averaging over 500 yards per game. And Drake May leads an offense that's averaging over 325 passing yards per game. While the Panthers may not have the worst secondary in the world, they're only giving up about 200 passing yards per game. Drake May and this North Carolina offense will be able to exploit it, and they will be able to get a win over a Pittsburgh team that's reeling a little bit. Very disappointing year, reeling after a bad performance on the road against Louisville. Lost that game 24-10. They're 4-3 on the year. Not the year anybody expected. Now coming into a hostile environment at night. I love the Tar Heels here. The offense shows up, shows out, and North Carolina moves to 7-1 and almost all but ensures their spot in the ACC championship game. Still a lot of football left to play, but they're going to be looking really, really good if they pull off this win, and we believe that they will. So there you have it, guys. There are your 5 big underrated games heading in to week 9 of the college football season, the last weekend of October, which means we're about to be in November, and that's when things get fun. That's, as Brian Kelly said, that is for contenders. That's where we really start to get a lot of our questions answered, and college football gets even wilder than it already has been. Check out these 5 games, guys. Make sure to check out our 3 individual videos coming soon for the ranked versus ranked matchups. Check out the live streams, and of course, guys, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks, beating out over 80% of the national analysts each of the last 4 years. You do not want to miss out on those picks. Go sign up for those today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.